Play both sides. The cat versus the mouse, while the fox sits and watches every move, every twitch, every breath. I'm not interested in your petty feud, but this can be quite entertaining, taunting both by his very presence. The cat postures and brags. The mouse swiftly, quietly finds the perfect opening. The fox silently cheers. Claws slash down, go for the eyes. The nimble one races as the braggart screams, "I'm blind!" Angry in pain, he trashes out to strike. Mouse goes flying, torn nearly in two, realizes too late. The fox, amused, merely reaches out, picks up the mouse to swallow him up whole. The cat is oblivious to fate. Thank you for a lovely evening and for dinner. The inferior suffers damage, the superior increases. And that, my friends, is the geopolitical high stakes chess game that is played by superior forces all over the world. The risk of direct confrontation between superior forces on this planet right now is too grave. There's too much deadly armaments for them to confront each other directly. So, what is the next best alternative? To fight proxy wars, to borrow a sword to make a kill. Get an inferior force to do the dirty work for you, or get someone else, may not necessarily be inferior, to do the dirty work for you. And in the end, you get to enjoy the benefits and achieve the objectives that you wanted. None of this is done for naught or nothing by the so-called inferior forces. They too have great advantages to be gained. In some cases, it is territory. In some cases, it is political influence. And of course, invariably, it is about money and enrichment. It is a risky game for the one that's doing the dirty work. Benefits may come to them, but eventually, the superior force, when things get too tough, can back out of the deal, so to speak. Or when they feel that they have achieved as much as they wanted to achieve, then they can leave you high and dry. This is nothing new, as was the case in Afghanistan from 1979 to 1989. The Pakistanis, the Mujahideen, fought a proxy war against the Soviet Union. After 10 years, the Soviet Union was forced to pack up and leave Afghanistan. The objectives were achieved. Guess what? The superior forces, having achieved their objectives, abandoned the Mujahideen. And we know the resulting consequences of that. Now let's take a little look at World War II and why situations today are even more dangerous. Let's look at the Ukraine-Russia conflict. In World War II, Ukraine was divided into those who supported the German Reich and those who supported the then USSR, Russia. So, the forces in Ukraine were sort of split. Today, the whole of Ukraine is united and supported by the West against Russia. That is why such a grave threat for Russia. And geographically, they're sitting on Russia's border. Now again, the risk of direct confrontation between the West and Russia is too grave. We all know what the consequences can be. So, you have a proxy war supported by the West against Russia. As the stakes become higher and higher, and confrontation between the West and Russia seems more and more plausible, you would see that the West seemingly is slowly withdrawing their support for Ukraine. So again, it's quite possible, sadly, Ukraine may be left high and dry. So a lot of this is the consequence of a very deadly marriage between the economic industries and the politics. They go hand in hand. So a lot of this is fueled by money. In all of this death and destruction, sadly, there are a lot of people and there are a lot of nations making money. And when millions and billions of dollars is at stake, what is human life worth? So, the aim seems to be to try to achieve a strategic defeat of Russia. But, as Sun Tzu says, there is no benefit in prolonged war. So I'm starting to believe that the military experts and political experts in the West has decided this has dragged on too long. Because after a certain period of time, there's a concept in economics of marginal diminishing returns. After a while, the more resources you add to a specific project, the extra money you make does not change or does not bring the benefit that you're looking for. So we're probably at that point. That is why you're seeing a sort of withdrawal of sorts in terms of support for Ukraine. To the West, they're trying not to make the mistakes they made in World War II, where Ukraine was split into pro-German forces and pro-Soviet forces. Now, it seems it's all pro-Western forces, and to the detriment of the Eastern Slavs. They are split, and they're fighting each other. Now, who benefits from that? Let's shift gears a little to the Middle East. Again, same proxy situation. Borrow a sword to make a kill. We saw it happen in Syria, and it led to the demise of Syria. And we saw the Assad regime decimated and the Syrian military capabilities decimated. And of course, Israel was more than happy to pounce. No need to worry again on their northern flank. We see what is happening in Gaza. So there you have it. Gaza neutralized, Syria neutralized, then they're going for the head. That is why you see Iran is now being attacked. If they succeed with Iran, then they have perfect hegemony in the Middle East. The Sunni Arabs are too concerned with making money and enriching themselves. They're allies to the West. They don't want to disrupt that money flow. So Iran is in a very difficult situation, backs against the wall. The only thing they can count on is external influence. And with their partners and alliances all caught up in their own situations, it will be difficult to come to their assistance. So, it's another very effective use by superior powers in the West of the strategy from the 36 stratagems of unorthodox strategies, interestingly enough, old Chinese texts. Now you see it is being used against Iran, but it is extremely risky. Time will tell how all of this plays out. One thing is for sure, that the stratagem of borrowing a sword to make a kill will be used in the future.